Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Found in Interpretation podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Alain Breton, and once again, this week I am with Brian. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing very well. I'm ready for another exciting week.
Is it snowing where you are?
Not anymore. We finally got the sun. First time
Really?
this week, I think. Yeah.
It's still snowing in Quebec City. We had a little snowstorm with us, but this week, as a guest, we have Kathleen Keller with us. So, welcome, Kathleen, to this podcast.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to present Kathleen just right now. So Kathleen is a student at the Glendon Master of Conference Interpretation program, an excellent program because I'm also a graduate from Glendon. Uh, she is she was formerly a full-time athlete, balancing sports with academics. She earned the translation masters while competing at an elite level, and she is accredited by OTSIAC, which I know a thing or two about. She's fully committed now to interpreting after retiring from rugby due to an injury requiring fourth knee surgery. Did I read that correctly?
Yeah, well, I had many injuries, and the fourth one is the one that made me say, okay, enough is enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
We got to talk about knee surgery because I did
Yes.
have one as well.
Oh, there you
But
go.
but today, one of the reasons why Kathleen is with us today is because there is a bit of emergency or a difficult situation going on right now at the Glendon program. As some of you, or most of you, hopefully, who are watching this podcast know, Glendon, Glendon campus at York University in Toronto has a master's in conference interpretation program that has been running for, I think, over about 10 years.
Mhm.
And several well-known interpreters today in the market have graduated from Glendon, including myself. Brian also tipped his toe at Glendon a few years ago. So this week we're going to talk about the situation at Glendon with Kathleen, who's right in the eye of the storm right now.
Mhm.
And we're going to share all of our experiences and the situation. So first, tell us what's going on and what's the big news?
The big news is that this year we received news that a lot of the instructors that usually come from overseas to teach us are not coming. We learned it just a few weeks ago.
Okay,
So
so when
that's
you're
like,
talking
yeah,
about the teachers, can you explain?
yeah,
Remember that we know about it
yeah,
because we all went to Glendon
yeah.
or currently there. But can you explain for our audience what do you mean by
Sure.
that?
I'll give you a bigger overview. So the way that the program is made is that generally it's a master's program. It's a 2-year program. The first year now is how it is. I know, Alain, your experience was different and Brian's as well, because he was probably all online because of COVID. But for us, the format that it was supposed to be was 1 year entirely online. And then the second year, we would go in for what they call intensives. So we were supposed to go in September and have instructors come from Europe to teach us, and then the same thing in January. And so now in September, no one came, and we should have known that something was going on, but they just said, oh well, they're all going to come in January. So we said, okay, that's fine. And in the end, we got the news that no instructors are coming. The ones that were promised to us are not coming. The university has decided to not pay for them to come.
So you were giving the impression that some instructors from overseas would become live in person to teach you. And
Yes.
right now, you guys are all doing the masters online if it wasn't to show up in Toronto to receive these special instructors, right?
Yes, we would stay online. I think that there are two professors, instructors that are there in person that are full time at York, that I think would probably want us to still come, even if the European instructors are not coming, because so much of the learning has to be done in person. It's so important to have some in-person contact. I'm sure Brian can attest to that, how difficult it might have been. But so they're They probably would want us to come regardless. However, we were expecting to have several professors come, and these are not n'importe qui. These are people that these are big names in the industry. They were people we were excited to meet. They were people we were excited to work with in person. The Arabic cohort, just one last thing, I don't want to forget them. The Arabic cohort has no in-person teachers when we go to Toronto. So
Oh
we,
wow.
as the French cohort, we obviously have the two full-time professors. The Mandarin cohort has someone that lives in Toronto. The Arabic cohort has no one. So they were going to bring over two instructors from overseas for them for the intensive, so that they could at least get some in-person training during their whole training. And we were told that they were not coming.
So like yeah, so when I went to Glendon, yeah, I remember there was a promise at the beginning of like before when you register that you're going to get these experts in the field who would act as instructors at Glendon College.
Mm-hmm.
We had one on earlier, Ahmed,
Mm-hmm.
incredible interpreter,
Mm-hmm.
and yes, and I think you're right. Like I think the main thing and the thing that really was the glue to be able to have that camaraderie it was to be in person.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the instructors that was at Glendon was really trying to push, even during COVID, to try to at least get the lab open so that we can practice social distancing, but also be able to work in a scenario where there's actually interpretation booths and you can learn how the equipment works and all that stuff, because that's really important in your job. It's like it's as if you were teaching online how to be a carpenter, but like you don't even have any access to the tools. So yeah, I thought that was a real loss in being able to do that online. Now we knew because it was during COVID that it was going to be online, which is kind of what attracted me to the program because all of my contracts got canceled in the same week in February for the entire year. So I was like, what the hell am I going to do during this pandemic? So I thought, I might as well get a master's. So I applied to Glendon, and that's how I got started with Glendon. And but before that, Alain went, and it was different with you, right? Alain, was it all in person?
Oh yeah, yeah. In our case, with the first year, as Kathleen said, it was online because, and that's the year one. And
Mm-hmm.
then in year two, we all went on site. I lived in Toronto for 2 semesters until we got kicked out because of COVID in March 2020. But from September till March 2020, we were there in person. We were able to meet all those instructors that were promised. In your case, we met Helen, Ahmed, Michelle Hoff, Andrew Gillis, name it. So it was an amazing experience, and that is why I was really happy to do this program. I met these people in person. I got to learn a lot from them. I got to do the intensive weeks. The program. I mean, of course, the two professors that are on site are amazing, but at the same time, it's very good to have not everyone has strong points, and you were able to pick up from everyone's strong points, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and being on site, I know you also get to meet new people. You get to do some networking. You make some contacts. I did meet Brian because I went to Toronto. If it
Oh.
wasn't for living in Toronto, I would not have met Brian.
That's
Mm.
right.
On the first week I was there, I get an email from Brian. He was looking for an interpreter because somebody had recommended me. And I told him, well, actually, I don't have time. I'm starting this master's program. Do you want to have a drink? And then the rest is history. Now we got a podcast. But but I want to come back a little bit to what you were saying in the very beginning when you guys learned, because you were promised by the university to that these instructors, you will have the same experience as every other generation before you, except COVID, that the professors or instructors would be coming to Toronto. But that is not the case. And how did you learn that?
Uh, we initially found out through one of the instructors, because leading up to the intensives, we did have a few online sessions with them in November, and one of the instructors started kind of casting doubt on the fact, like, was this person coming or not? And we started asking questions.
That
And
must have been shocking.
I mean, we were shocked, but we thought it only had to do with that one instructor at first.
I
And
see.
then, you know, the
Did you?
information started coming in. Go ahead.
So
So
they
did you?
did
Sorry,
did
but
they all know, like all these instructors, that they're not that York University didn't have the funds? Like, when would they have found
I
out?
don't know
Like,
what the order is like, and I don't want to speak to that because I don't. But I don't know how they were told when they were told. I only know that we sort of found out because that first instructor that made us ask a few questions, and then we ended up having a meeting with our like director of our program telling us it's not happening. The university doesn't have the funds, and
So
that's kind of how it happened. Yeah, sorry.
so the university I mean, of course you're not able to answer these questions, but the question that would come to mind is, wasn't the university already did these funds should have been allocated first, right, in the very beginning when you guys were promised something?
Totally. That should have been figured out before.
yeah, I would
And
assume
if
that
there,
all of the tuition for the 17 of you would cover the cost at a very minimum of being
yes,
able to bring these people in. Yeah.
totally. And it's yeah, there's a lot of things there. It's we should the money should have been allocated from the very beginning. If the money wasn't allocated, we should have been told. I feel I would expect some kind of official communication from the institution.
So the
Uh,
institution has not sent any official communication.
no, they sent us a reply to an email because we started a letter writing campaign and just wrote to like everyone we could think of, uh, vice provost, dean, principal, whoever. We just emailed out a bunch of emails, hoping someone would
Ha-
reply. And we did get a reply from the principal, but the principal didn't write to us to let us know. And if the principal knew this, then I feel we should have known, or at least we should have been informed before going into year two, because that's another thing, right? As you both know, you can graduate year one with like a graduate diploma. It's not a master's, but you can graduate if they had told, not my case, I would have kept going because I'm loving it, but maybe someone else would have said, well, you know what, I'm not that interested if all those professors aren't coming. I've had enough with year one. I'm going to stop here. No one was given the opportunity for that because we weren't informed of anything.
And for those who don't know, like we mentioned a few names, and for the interpretation community, that may mean absolutely nothing. But like Ahmed, if you've followed our podcast, Ahmed works for the International Criminal Court. Like he's like the Michael Jordan of interpretation, let's say, for for
Totally.
those who don't know. And like you can make all these sports illusions because everybody knows sports players, but for interpreters, it's a little bit harder. But Andy Gillis is kind of in the same boat too. Like he's
yeah,
Absolutely.
he
just
wrote
such a
Andrew
And
Gillis wrote several books about
yeah.
interpretation as well.
Yeah,
yeah,
they're
and
all really passionate and
And
committed about.
Helen Campbell, she's an amazing instructor. And if you
yeah,
go to the speech repository for all interpreters, if you're looking for great videos on practice different levels of interpretation, you will see Helen Campbell with her amazing videos. So I cannot.
yeah,
I mean, I met her, and she's an amazing woman as well. So everyone, actually, I'm saying we're singling out some people here, but everyone that we
Yes.
meet is amazing.
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah, and like the Arabic, and this year the Arabic cohort is having Hassan. I forget his last name. I think it's El Ramouk who's coming, and he worked at the International Civil Aviation Organization. It's like it's big names and people that are we're so incredibly lucky to just be in a room with them. And we were all very excited about that, of course.
Well, that's what you were paying for.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
Totally.
you're paying to
It's
you're making this sacrifice to do a master's program, and you're supposed to meet all of these amazing top instructors from around the world.
Yep.
And suddenly, the university tells you, not even in a direct communication to the students, they're telling you that they're cutting the funding to the program. Are
Yep.
they cutting the whole program? Is there going to be another year? You don't know, or there's no way to tell, or is there
I
something
mean,
deeper here?
yeah, I definitely don't have a crystal ball and I don't want to make any predictions. However, I can tell you what I know,
From what
like
you
what's
know.
been going
No,
on.
don't
Yeah.
just go with what you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I don't see the whole program shutting down, but as I said, I don't have a crystal ball. But there are issues, like for example, this year there was no Spanish cohort in the year one because there weren't enough students. They've made the number of students, they've changed the minimum number of students. I think to say the number was 5 and now it's 6 or something like this. So
Your
they're
language
yeah,
combination is French English.
yeah. and Spanish as C.
How many? Okay,
Yeah.
but how many in this main, for instance, like the Spanish, French and English combination? How many students are there
7.
in the year 2?
7, yeah, 6 or 7, because
We were 3. Look, we were
someone
3.
actually quit because of this. Someone left the program, so I don't know if we're
Wow.
6 or 7 at this point. But someone
Yeah.
decided that it was just too frustrating, too stressful, not worth their emotional time, and recently decided to quit the program.
Yeah, and not to, I mean, not to say that everything was hunky dory when I did it either. Like there was a few combinations. There was a lot of Spanish and a lot of French, but there was also Russian and Mandarin. So there was a few different languages in my cohort as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's there was so many limitations because Zoom was just coming out too. So like just being able to know how to use Zoom or all the different platforms, and then the instructors are great because they also had to maneuver and say, oh well, this new thing, web switcher, just came out, so why don't you try this one out? And then one of the students was like responsible for going and building a connection with web switcher to be able to do a test run. And we did the same thing with Kudo. Like we did all these other technologies that came in, so they were able to roll with the punches, right? But it was
Mm-hmm.
definitely not the same as being in person, where you're like, oh, you're on mute, oh, we don't know how to do this interpretation function. There's no relay, there's no nothing, like for like the same thing that you would find in a booth, we couldn't do on Zoom. So we had
Mm-hmm.
so many limitations.
Yeah,
And I
and
feel like
there's a lot.
if the format is going to be that, yeah, we'll have these professors, but they're going to join us online, there's just no way that it's going to compare to what you were promised.
No, 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 no. Absolutely not. I mean, there's so much stuff that you can do. You can do stuff online. We're obviously we did it all the first year. You did it, Brian. It's totally doable, but there are some things that you just need in person. Just getting feedback. It's so much more organic in person. Working on your performance, working on your voice, learning certain skills like chuchotage. How are you going to learn chuchotage? Just things that are just, and one thing, consecutive. It's not the same thing doing the consecutive in front of a computer screen and doing consecutive in front of a room full of people. Like
Absolutely.
I got to work at TIFF this year, and it was the first time that I was in such a big room of people, and my goodness, I was glad that I'd had the chance to practice a little bit with my
Is TIFF
groupmates
the
before.
Toronto International Film
Yeah,
Festival?
yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Yeah, that happens
So,
every year, and they always have tons of interpreters at
yeah,
that event. Yeah,
yeah,
it's great.
so
You get to see movies before everybody else.
yeah, exactly.
um, what about what if the university's response? I'm trying to imagine what they would tell you, and they would say, "Well, you know what? Now interpreters all work online, so you don't need to do the course on site." What would you say?
Well, I'd start by saying, what are all the best institutions in interpreting doing? Do they have online courses? And the answer is no. The answer is they're all their courses are in person. And so there's a reason for that. And so if we want to, if that you, Glendon, I'm saying we, I should have the shirt that says Glendon as well. If Glendon wants to remain one of the best, then they have to do what the best is doing. And it's not only teaching online. There has to be in-person contact. And there's another part. It's like so much of the prestige of the program I feel is built on these instructors. Some of them aren't even interested in teaching online. So we might lose some of them.
Oh,
There's
that's
that
Yeah,
big.
part.
because they
Yeah.
probably already had that experience with us, with
They
our
had that
cohort being
experience
like,
during
this
COVID.
sucks.
Yeah.
So we,
And
we were the ones who deterred them from being online at later years.
It's
could
your fault,
be.
Brian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You can blame me. That's
Um,
fine.
yeah, so if it's like you've built your reputation on these people, but it's not going to be the same having them. Like, people are not only signing up to have them as instructors. I think of course we are, but we're also signing up to have them as to actually meet them. I know that's part of the draw, right? That's part of the
Hmm.
attraction. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like again, to go back to like a sports analogy, it's like going to like some sports camp and expecting to learn how to do a certain trick or a sports technique, and then you're supposed to try to learn that online, like
yeah,
instead of
exactly,
having like the hands-on experience. So yeah, I
exactly.
totally understand where you're coming from. And
Hmm.
yeah, and it's
but
very worrisome too for the future of the program, because if these professors, they know that it's not the same online, and they start saying, well, we don't really want to do it this way, then what's the alternative? Is it just the same two professors that you're going to see all year teaching you without the expertise and the knowledge of these other interpreters that are very qualified and very competent, and that the whole community admires, which is why they're there, right? So
Mm,
yeah, it's really it begs a number of questions that hopefully the institution will speak up and say, what is the future of this program?
mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was thinking, you're here on this podcast, so the whole world knows about what is going on at Glendon. But that's not the only thing you guys are doing, right?
No, we're doing a few things. Well, as I said, we did the letter writing campaign, and now we actually started a GoFundMe to try to get them to come. And it looks like they're going to be able to come because we've raised more than half of our goal. Our goal was $10,000, and we've raised more than half of our goal. So we should be able to bring at least a few teachers over for a few days. Pay their flights and their accommodation.
Oh
So
wow.
the GoFundMe, you guys are just. Let me reiterate,
Yeah.
you guys are doing a GoFundMe. The link will
Uh-huh.
be in the description of this video, and the
Of the
GoFundMe's
podcast, yeah.
goal, yeah, of the podcast. And but if you type on Google GoFundMe Glendon interpretation, you'll probably find it, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
Okay. And once you go there, you're able to contribute to pay for these different instructors' flight and expenses while they're in Toronto. So basically you're doing the job the university should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah, we're like, we know that now there's obviously what we would like is for the university to change their position, to reevaluate and see what they can do with the money that they have. But we know that that's not going to be, administrative processes are slow. And if they ever did change their position, fingers crossed, it's not going to be this year, right? So we had to think of a solution that was fast. How could we get money? And
Well,
yeah,
if they can change the rule in the middle of the game from one way, why can't they do it for the other, right?
you know what? That's a good point. Good point. So who knows? But for now, yeah, the goal is to raise money to at least get a few of them here with us so that we can have the education experience that we were promised, essentially.
Yeah, but you were promised this. In our case, if I remember correctly, it was during the Monkey Week,
Hmm.
or was it Monkey Week, or basically there was some sort of online. It's been so many years now, but I remember having an online session with several interested students
Yes.
that,
Yeah.
and we were told that in year two instructors would come. Was it the same thing for you?
Hmm. Same thing. It was also called Monkey Week, which I don't know why, but it's cute. But yeah, it was the same thing. We were presented the plan of we had Monkey Week both years, actually. We had a Monkey Week in year one and we had a Monkey Week in year two, and both times we were told these instructors are coming. No doubts, no maybe we're not sure this year, nothing like that. It was like a done deal.
And just sorry if I'm asking again, but I just want to make sure the managers of the program right now, they're asking you guys, your cohort, to show up in Toronto this coming January.
Yes, no matter what,
So
we're going.
no
Yeah.
matter what, so people who are doing this online program they're all around the world right now, including one in Japan. Hello, and
One in
we know who we
Japan,
were
one in
talking.
Dubai.
Wow, okay, in
Wow.
Dubai, and they're
Yeah,
gonna come
imagine
all the
imagine
way. Yeah.
imagine my colleague who's coming from Dubai, who doesn't have any on-site teachers. We have at least I mean, if I go, I'm still going to benefit. Of course, I would love to meet, the roster, the amazing roster, to make the sports reference as well. But at least I'll have in-person instruction. Whereas he'll come all the way from Dubai
Hang out.
to yeah, hang out. I mean, he'll
Yeah.
have it. He'll be able to do the what will he be able to do actually? Not much. He'll do
Hang
this
out on Young
things on
Street.
online. Yeah, exactly. Online. He'll be online. It's like, yeah, he'll be in the
Hold
lab.
on. Hold on. Let me just so I can picture this. When you were there last September and the instructors didn't show up because they were promised to be there in January, you guys happened to be all in Toronto and you were in the lab and you were doing the classes online.
Yeah, except of course we had one it's I shouldn't say that. I should actually take that back. We did have one person come, Sian. She came from but she lives in Vancouver and she was working at TIFF. So she was able to kind of kill two birds with one stone. So we got her, and we of course had classes like language neutral ish classes with Kinti. But the rest, yes, a lot of the classes were online.
Oh, okay. So Andrew was teaching online too.
No, Andrew was there, but not everyone has Andrew, right?
Oh,
Like
right,
for
because he
me,
does
my
English French. Yeah.
experience was fairly. I'm lucky, basically, because my
Because of your
language
language
combination.
combination.
Exactly, because of my language
Mm.
combination, the two full-time instructors that they have are English French, well, and Kinti is Spanish. So of course I was able to benefit, but the others that don't have that language combination were doing indeed some classes online or all classes online, depending on the language combination.
But there's so many questions that are coming to mind, and I know that you're a student there and you're middle of the storm. But instead of asking a question, I'm just going to share a thought. Whoever's watching this, I heard, about a month ago, we had Louis Jolicoeur on this podcast, and the Translation Bureau is basically providing the funds to start a brand new program in Quebec City. I love it. Great. It's right next to my place. But at the same time, how can you have a high demand for interpretation? Ottawa is in crisis right now because they need some interpreters, and then the university is telling you that they're cutting the funds and don't provide you the instructions and the course, the program that you guys were promised, deserve, and because of a lack of fund. I mean, something's not right here.
Something's not right, indeed.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know if I'm not sure the higher ups understand the importance of the in-person component. They think that we can just learn this all online. And Brian, I really
I see.
like your analogy with the carpenter. It's like trying to teach a carpenter, the job online. It's like you need to be
Without the
doing
tools, yeah.
without the tools. You need to be doing some of the work in person. And I don't think I'm not sure that they truly understand the importance of the in-person instruction. And again, to that I would say everyone else is doing it online. Why would we not online, in person? So why would our program be any different? We're already like, I feel like our program is really unique and has adapted to the times in the sense that a lot of it is online. But there comes a point where you need to be in person and you need to be learning some of these skills in person, and that's what's unfortunate.
And
Well, on top of, the thing is, if next year two students are told beforehand that it's all going to be online, people will know beforehand before enrolling.
yeah, at least
Right.
they
They'll
have a
know what
choice
they're
to make.
getting
Yeah.
themselves into.
Yes.
What I have a problem with is getting something promised that you don't. I mean, it's like I go to a restaurant and I ask for a soup and they gave me a salad. I
Yeah,
didn't ask for
totally.
I didn't ask for a salad. I wanted a soup. I want my soup.
Yeah.
And then you're paying for you're not even paying for what
You
you were
ordered.
promised.
Yeah. It's more like if you ordered a steak and they gave you a soup.
Thank you. That's a much better.
Do you know what I mean?
I
Because
should
it's
edit
like
that.
no, but like because it's more than just two small things. It's like we were
Right.
expecting the big deal, and now
You're right.
we're going, and I mean, again, the quality of my instructors in person is amazing, and I'm very lucky, but that's not everyone's experience because there's different language combinations. So I'm probably still getting a steak, but not everyone is.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, it might be like the difference in cuts and steak, I guess. You guys are
There you go.
you're getting the
We'll
filet
go from
mignon.
sports analogy to restaurant to food analogy.
We'll move to wine later. Don't worry.
Yes.
At this point, maybe it'll be shots.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? But But you know what? I'd be curious too. Like, if anyone from Ottawa U, because that's the only other place I believe that there's a Masters of Interpretation. If anyone is
In
listening, that
Canada.
in Canada, yes. If anyone is listening, that please reach out to us because we would love to hear what that take is. Because we've heard from Louis Jolicoeur, we've heard from Glendon. It would be interesting to know what Ottawa U students feel about this whole thing because I'm assuming they're even more in tune as to what's happening because Parliament Hill is just down the corner from Ottawa U. So they've have probably heard about all of the shortage of interpreters that exists on Parliament
Mm-hmm.
Hill. And I forget who I was talking to where they're like, oh, like, you know, that there's such a huge shortage of interpreters that if there's a bill that it wants to be presented and there's no interpreters available because there just aren't enough, then everything stops. You can't go through with passing
Yeah, that's
laws
what Louis was.
or
That's what Louis was telling us on the other podcast the other week.
it was Louis Jolicoeur, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Louis Jolicoeur who
Yeah.
said that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like everything's at a standstill. So our entire government is at a standstill because there are no interpreters. So I don't know. I guess the general public, there's no reason for them to even know this, but I guess we're informing them now that if there aren't enough interpreters to do all of the jobs that are required outside of the like in the public, then we're screwed as a country in a way.
Well, I
Because
Yeah.
mean, there's a law. It's two official. We're two official languages in Canada, and the Parliament can't function if there are no interpreters in the Parliament or not
yeah,
enough.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
And what's
already
what?
hard enough as myself. I do a lot of work in the private sector. It's already hard enough to find enough interpreters in the private sector. So, if some of the ones and a lot of the ones in the private sector don't really want to work for the federal government or for the provincial government. So, yeah, there's a huge issue here, and I'm shocked that funding would be cut for something that is so important in our country.
Yes. And you need I don't know exactly how you get to the process for getting into parliament, but you need people that are really adequately trained, right? So why not contribute, or why not keep the program going how it is to make sure that everybody's getting the well-rounded training that Glendon's offering now, or was
Hmm.
offering up until last year.
And you mentioned the GoFundMe. Is there other stuff that you guys are doing as well?
So far, no. One of my colleagues, I believe, said that she wanted to try to reach out to the media. Well, you guys are first step.
We're not
um,
CTV, but we're
yeah, yeah,
Well,
um,
alternative media.
yeah,
alternative
exactly.
media. That's it. There you
My kind of media.
go.
But yeah, I don't know what else we can actually do. Write letters, talk to the
Have you?
media, GoFundMe.
Is there any way for you guys to reach out to the previous cohorts?
Oh, well, I know that there's through the GoFundMe, there people have been talking about it. Like the previous
Okay.
cohorts know, and the money that we've been getting is from a lot of students that went through Glendon, family, friends, and a lot of alumni or interpreters. Like there are people that are just from the interpreting community that didn't necessarily go to Glendon, but recognize the importance of having adequately trained interpreters, and have contributed as well. So they know. I was at an interpreter party, yes, before yesterday, and there were some Glendonites there, and they all knew about it. They were like, "Oh, did you hear? They even have a GoFundMe." And I was like, "Oh, I made the GoFundMe."
Well, I'll next time invite me. I'll be there.
Yeah.
And we'll promote
Um,
it. And in case like no one like people are just joining the podcast later, just to reiterate what Alain was saying is that the GoFundMe link will be added to the description at the bottom, like in YouTube and Spotify and other outlets that we're gonna start plugging our way into as well.
Yeah, just to come back a little bit to the timeline of how you learned this and everyone else in the cohort. I went back into my messages, and I had completely forgotten until this point. And I have an interaction with someone who told me that back in September that they made there. She wasn't sure that the program will have funds beyond 2025. Have you heard anything regarding this? You
No,
had not heard anything beforehand, right?
no, not in September. Absolutely not. No, no.
All right. Okay.
That's when, if this person knew, um that's when, I'm wondering where was the administration at that time? Why were we not advised,
No, it's nobody high up. I can tell you
No,
that.
but I'm saying
I mean,
if it got
nobody
to
high
this
up told me
person.
this, but
No, but I'm
yeah,
saying if it got to this person, then the higher ups knew, correct?
yeah, that's
It's from them.
because
The
Yeah,
cut
the
is
news
yeah,
from
should have
them.
trickled down. Yeah.
It trickled
yeah,
down to this person. So if it trickled down to this person, they already knew that they there was an issue. So the current students and future students should be informed of what's going on.
Yeah, I feel like you guys were the last to know, like
We
in
were
terms of
yeah,
that
yeah,
trickle down.
yeah, yeah.
have you has your cohort sought legal advice?
No, no,
Right.
but not close to it. I was thinking about it yesterday, and I was just wondering what else we could do, but we have to, of course, ask and see if there's
And
anything we can do.
what's the general feeling? I mean, are you speaking on behalf of your whole cohort or for yourself, or like I'm just wondering how everybody's feeling right now.
Yeah, I don't want to say I'm the official spokesperson for the cohort. However, we have a WhatsApp group where we're all exchanging and talking, and we've been working together in the letter writing campaign and getting the GoFundMe out there. So uh, everyone knows that I'm talking to you today, and so people were sort of giving me ideas and their thoughts. And so I'm speaking on behalf of myself and some of my classmates. I don't want to say all, but
Yeah,
some that, have been active. Yeah.
that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
But and the overall mood is everyone kind of feeling the same as you, like where you were promised something and they didn't deliver.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the main messages. I think that the disappointment in the fact that they're not coming, but disappointment in the fact that in that we were promised this and that we weren't informed. I think that's really one of the biggest things, because that's just a question of our right. I mean, we're paying for a service. I'm paying for a service and I'm not getting what I paid for. That's, pretty basic. Yeah,
Hmm.
I think we're all on the same page, and we're all obviously very excited about that the GoFundMe has worked out so well, because in the end we will get probably the teachers that were supposed to come. That we will have the money, but that doesn't fix the problem for future cohorts. And
So
so,
the teachers, the instructors that are overseas are aware that there's a GoFundMe, and they will accept, they will come and they will teach on site if you reach your goal.
I've had conversations with all of them. I thought, given the tight deadline, the tight time frame here, people need to make plans in their life as well. So if they've been told it's canceled, well, they're going to turn around and do something else. So I said, whoa, 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 okay, let's like get in touch with them and let them know,
Yeah,
so that
January's next month. Yeah.
exactly, it's yeah, so just let them know and ask them if we do manage, because at that time when I wrote to them we had $0, but if we get the money, would you accept it? Because maybe some people don't want to accept, and some have expressed reticence and some have said outright, like, yes, absolutely, I'll be there. So, we'll
Well, because basically, I'm thinking if I was in this position, I would be upset at the university itself. I mean, it's the
yes,
institution. I'm
yeah,
thinking,
yeah,
and I would say this is not the student's job. I mean, it's commendable,
Hmm.
but is it the student's job to finance their own program? Because you're paying tuition. You're not
right.
getting a discount on your tuition because you're doing a GoFundMe.
No, that's another thing. Some of the students in the cohort are asking about, well, what about our tuition? Like, are going to demand, I don't know exactly what process they're going to go through, but they're going to see if they can get some of their tuition back if we don't get them here. Because, well, even if we do, it's kind of money that we raise out of nowhere, out of the wonderful generosity of all of these interpreters. But we shouldn't have to do that, indeed.
I've never heard of anything like this before. Like, to be perfectly honest, this is the first time I've heard of, you know, paying for tuition. This is what you're supposed to get, and then you get something completely different. Like you end up going from like a nice steakhouse to McDonald's. Like, and
Certainly.
and this is not to like to diminish the quality of the interpretation or the instruction that the local
Yeah.
instructors are giving. It's just that you're not getting the value. I
No,
mean, Louis in a previous, like in the last podcast that we just aired, was saying like one of the most beneficial things you could do as an interpreter is sit in the booth with your colleague. And if you're not going to be able to sit in the booth with Andy Gillis or with Ahmed or with or Helen Campbell, you're just going to miss out on such a golden opportunity to learn from the best. Like they're
yes,
extremely good at what they do, and there's a reason why there's so much excitement behind them being
for
able to
sure.
be the guest instructors, right? So yeah, no, I totally understand that.
Hmm. Yeah, and they were handpicked by the people building this program. That's
Hmm.
another thing that we haven't addressed yet. Like when this program was put together, someone believed that this was the formula, right? Someone believed in it, and someone said, yes, this is the best way to do this. We need to bring these people, we need to put the students in contact with these people. So how come that's no longer true? Why would that stop being true now?
Well, what I can tell you from my own experience after being on site and meeting all of the people that you've mentioned, I have met years ago, and after I graduated and I completed the program, I can tell you that my own experience was complete love for the program. I loved the program. I love everyone who was there back in the day, and I'm sure that a lot of them are still there today. I have amazing memories. I've learned a lot. I would not be the same interpreter or even an interpreter if I had
Hmm.
not been at Glendon. I've learned so much, and in a way, it maybe I sounded a bit upset earlier, but it kind of breaks my heart to see what is going on, to be completely honest with you, because as a graduate of Glendon, I want the program to succeed. I love the fact that we had these intensive weeks, that we had these, we were judged at the end of the program, and there was some judges judging the different interpretations in consecutive and simultaneous that we did, and the whole process. I've learned so much from it, so much, and still today, the people that I met in the program are still my best friends.
Mm,
And the people who, when I know that someone, and when I meet someone who I'm interpreting either remote or on site, and I know that they went to Glendon, suddenly there's a camaraderie, right?
yeah,
Suddenly you're like, okay, there's something, there's a bond right away that we can establish in the booth. And that is so important as well. With the program is tough, is rewarding.
yeah,
It is an amazing program, and whatever we can do to help you guys out, we have to do it. Beyond the finger pointing that we could all do, I think at some point, I think that it's important to say that all of this starts with a love for the program.
absolutely. Oh yeah,
Yes.
same. I feel, I mean, I feel the same as you. I absolutely love it, and I don't doubt that I'm a better professional now, and I'll continue to be a better professional from what I learned there, because it's like it's going to be a process that's going to take me through my career. It's not just now. It's everything I'm learning about how I do things. I'm just going to continue improving. I wouldn't be the same without it. Um, I feel the
And
same as you.
if you need anything else, or if anyone else in your cohort needs anything, just feel free to reach out. We can even do
Thank you.
probably a mini podcast or like a short or something like that about how things are developing. And if you guys need anything, we can be your source for shout outs and updates.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
Thanks so much.
yeah. Anyone can reach out, and if you have any updates whatsoever, let us know. As Brian said, you can be a guest again, or if anyone else from your cohort would like to talk about their experience and their point of view, or if they learn anything about anything new, don't hesitate to reach out, because as you can see on the hoodie, this is also very important to me.
Yes.
Yes. And
Thank
maybe
you.
if things look up, maybe you guys can start talking about knee
Yeah.
surgeries,
Yes.
and and
That's for
rugby.
another
And
podcast.
yes, we'll talk about happier things next
Yeah.
time.
What, knee surgery is a happy thing? What are you talking
Hey,
about?
listen, you got to weigh things accordingly, right? You guys can both still walk.
Yeah.
I've seen you run, Alain.
Thanks to my artificial ligament. No, it's true. I do have an artificial ligament. I had
Me
surgery in
too.
Japan. Yeah, that's the reason why I did year one, actually. I was offered directly to jump to year two. But when I got an email from, I think Xian, it was Xian who wrote me, and I was just out of surgery. And I was in Japan. I was on a trip, and I fell. And I had an accident, and I was hospitalized for 2 weeks, and I did get an artificial ligament. And for the next few weeks, I needed rehabilitation and physiotherapy and you name it. And I was like, well, I can't go to Toronto to directly into year two. And I thought, well, if I can't walk, might as well do year one. And I learned a lot from the consecutive. I
Yeah.
learned a lot of consecutive and all of that. Although I already had experience as an interpreter then, and so I did taste both year one and two. See the link because of the knee surgery.
Yeah, there you go. Yes. Yeah, me too.
You're giving away material for our next
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, it's a teaser. It's a teaser.
It's a teaser. There you go. I'm 100%. What you see is what you get. There's nothing artificial here. And on that note, thank you for tuning in.
Yes. So once again, everyone, go to the FundMe link that will be displayed, and the link in the description. Any last word, Brian, Kathleen?
No, thank you so much, Kathleen, for coming on. It was really great and an eye opener to hear everything that's happening. And again, if you guys need anything at all, just feel free to reach out.
Thank you. And thanks so much for the opportunity. And thanks for supporting us.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, of course.
Thank you.
And thanks for reaching out. Thanks for your trust in this podcast. And to everyone else listening, let's all encourage all the students at this year's cohort. And we'll see what happens next. Hopefully, this will be resolved in 2025. You'll get what you were expecting in the first place.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So on this note, good night and good luck. And please don't forget to like and subscribe and share, of course.